So first of all, I want to welcome you all to the Beat Your Anxiety group. This is the group for people who, you've probably been struggling with anxiety your whole life, and now it's become like an oil spill right into the rest of your life. So Beat Your Anxiety is really dedicated to those people who are looking for more of a natural and holistic way to heal your anxiety. And if you're like me, you've probably tried so many different things. And if you're in this group, you've probably gone the route of, again, prescription drugs, therapy. You've been watching YouTube videos. You've been reading articles on Google. You've been doing all of this research to find out, like, why am I struggling with anxiety, right? How many of you have gone down this route already? How many of you are on this road, right? Like, you're trying to solve your anxiety and you're doing meditations on YouTube. Maybe you're doing therapy. Maybe you have to throw down how many of you have like an emergency pill? I had an emergency pill for a long time. So this was like my emergency panic attack pill that I would throw down anytime that I was driving or I was in a situation where I had to be conscious. I had to be, if I was driving, I can't have a panic attack while I'm driving. So I would pull over, throw down an emergency pill. And it was an awful way to live. Like, my pills went everywhere with me. And my sort of aha moment was I was in my gym locker room one day and I threw my purse in the locker room. And the noise I could hear from my purse with all the different prescriptions rattling, like it sounded like a baby's toy, like a rattle. How many of you are on more than one medication for your anxiety? Like, you're taking more than one thing now. Like, your anxiety has gotten so bad that you've had to try like a different thing and then add on something else and then add on something else, right? Like this video, let me know if this is resonating with you. Do you feel like you're running around in circles trying to find the one solution to healing your anxiety and really stepping back into confidence or stepping back into being relaxed? Or what is your goal here? Post below this video. What is your goal by being here? What's your goal? Is it confidence? Is it I want to feel relaxed? Is it I want to be myself again? Yeah, but I can see on the horizon. What do you see on the horizon? What do you see on the horizon? What's there? What does that look like? Like, who are you when you're not anxious? Who are you when you are calm, relaxed, graceful, loving, open? You want to know who the real me is? I love that question. Who is the real me? One of my favorite questions to contemplate. And you will find that answer. You will find that answer eventually. So keep contemplating, keep meditating. You'll find that answer. So today we're going to talk about one of my favorite things, one of my favorite topics. It seems like everything I talk about is my favorite topic. This video I set up to talk about guilt and shame. I remember when I used to be caught in these games, when as a recovering people pleaser. If you're a people pleaser, right? If this is resonating with you, if you feel like you're struggling to get everybody's approval, or you need that pat on the back from someone else, you need that little doggy treat to let you know that you've done good or you're being good, right? If this is describing you, post me in the chat. If this is describing you, you're waiting to get that high, to get that doggy treat, that pat on the back, right? From someone else. And can you see how this can lead to anxiety? Because you don't know when the next doggy treat's going to come. You don't know when the next person is going to come along and say, you're great, you're amazing, like you've done well. Like that, of course, you're going to be anxious because it's very unstable. This foundation is very unstable. So I want to first jump into, where does guilt and shame come from? And for those of you tuning in, I'm glad you are, because more people need to hear this. Really, I can tell you, for the people who are not tuning in, I feel sorry for them because they're going to miss this, because this is such an important piece of the equation when it comes to feeling better about yourself. And if you're a people pleaser, you're looking outside of yourself to feel better about yourself, right? You're looking outside of yourself to feel like you're deserving or you're allowed to, right? And I lived this way for a long time. And it's a horrible way to live because you're spending your precious years you're not even conscious of your own goals. You're just making sure everyone else is happy. Like, you're not even going after your goals. There's no time to go after your goals because you're so busy making sure everyone else is happy and content and they're okay. Like, there's not even time for you to do the things you want to do. That's how like messed up this is, right? Like, how much time do you give how much attention and energy do you give to other people you don't even know, like strangers, but you need to make sure they're comfortable. I'm telling you, this is very backwards. It's not going to get you far in life. And I'm here to talk about how to eliminate this guilt and shame from our lives, because really this comes down to just manipulation and control. So the first part of this is going to be, where does this come from? Like, where does guilt and shame come from? Why do we deal with this? Like, why is this even in our lives? Why do I feel guilty? Why do I feel shame from time to time? And the first part of this is, guess what? You were not born into this world with guilt or shame or feeling guilty or shameful. You were not born into this world feeling like you're not good enough. Think about that for a minute. You were not born into this world feeling like you're bad, right? Guilt and shame are not innate emotions, meaning you were not born with guilt or shame. You're born with anxiety because that's for survival reasons. You're born with, you get dopamine, right, and serotonin, and so you get like feelings of pleasure, right, because these things, these are all wired into you. But you are not born with guilt and shame. Guilt and shame is, and actually, I want to talk about the differences between these two before we go any further, because we're going to get deep into this. What is the difference between guilt and shame? First of all, a lot of people don't know the differences. Guilt versus shame. It's very important to understand the differences between these two, or you're not going to know how to resolve this, right? You're not going to have much control if you don't know why you're feeling these things in the first place. So how many of you here struggle with guilt or shame? Put me in the comment below. Put shame or guilt or both. Which one are you struggling with the most? Right? Put in the comments below. Let me know which one is hitting you harder. Which one is keeping you from moving forward? And the differences between the two is, shame is, I broke my rules. Shame is, I broke my rules. That's where shame comes from. You broke one of your own rules. And that's where shame comes from. So if you ever feel shame, it's because you broke one of your own rules. Guilt is, I broke the rules of the collective, or of the community, or of society, of the group, of the community. So guilt is, I broke someone else's rules, and shame is, I broke my rules. Shame means I am wrong for being me. Guilt is, I'm wrong for what I did. So guilt is more about something you did. Shame is is an identity, is related to your identity as a spirit, as a person. And so that's the differences between the two. And so which one's coming up for you? Which one's resonating with you more? Is it I'm breaking my rules? It's like I'm doing myself wrong, or I'm doing others wrong. Right? I broke the rules of the community, of the collective, of my family, of the law, of my colleagues, or my group of friends, right? That's what I mean by community. So shame is, I'm wrong for being me, who I am as a person. Now, where do these things come from? Where does guilt and shame come from? This is so important. It's important to understand. Here is, if you can wrap your head around this, you will start to free yourself. And that is exactly what I said earlier, is that you are not born with guilt or shame. These are installed into you by other people. You do not need guilt and shame for survival. You do not need guilt and shame to get through your life. In fact, guilt and shame will keep you from life. Guilt and shame will keep you from living. You do not need guilt and shame to survive. And obviously, you don't need guilt and shame to be happy, right? It just makes sense, but maybe it doesn't for some people. Like, if you're feeling guilt and shame, you're not feeling happy. So guilt and shame have been introduced to you by other people who also feel and struggle with guilt and shame. What's resonating for you right now? This should be like this should blow your mind right now. That your entire life up until this moment, you have never needed to feel guilt or shame to fix your problems, to fix your relationships, to move forward in life. Obviously, this is not moving you forward in life. You do not need either of these things. In fact, these things are used maliciously, and maybe some people don't know, as covert manipulation. This is covert manipulation, meaning it goes under the radar for a lot of people. Because guilt and shame, this is, the United States, if you're an American, if you live here, we live in a shame-based society. We are taught to feel shame if we don't donate money to this charity. You're wrong for being yourself if you don't help your friend or help your family. You're wrong for being yourself if you don't donate money to, when you're checking out the grocery store, you know how you can add like $1 or something and to donate to some charity. I never do that because I don't know where that money's going. It could be going right back to the store for all I know. But people ask you, what is wrong with you? Have you ever been asked that? What is wrong with you? Yeah, we are born free from these. This is installed into you through language, through our conversations with people. So this should just transform your life right here. You do not need these things. You do not need these things. And if you're around people who make you feel this way, I would start to question, why are they in your life? Why are you allowing these people in your life? I don't care if it's a family member. I don't care if it's your best friend. I've worked with clients who their best friends make them feel like shit. What is your definition of a friend? What is your definition of love? Does love make you feel like shit? Does love make you feel guilty? No, that's not love. That's guilt. Start to separate these things. Does a loving partner make you feel ashamed of who you are? No. Where's the evidence of love there? These two things are used by people who are not capable of true intimacy. Shame and guilt are typically games people play in order to manipulate you and to get what they want from you. So an example is, why do you do that? Somebody asks you, why do you do that? Or what's wrong with you? Boom, right there. That's gonna trigger you to go inside of yourself to question, like, did I do something wrong, or am I wrong as a person? And start to recognize, well, who just said that? Because oftentimes we leave other people out, the people we're talking to, out of this equation. Because of old habits, we typically make the world about us. But guess what? We're not the only ones here in this world. We interact with other people. Every interaction, every outcome out of any interaction is co-created. So what is that other person saying that made you feel guilty? You do not need guilt ever. You do not need to shame ever. Throw these things out now, right now. Which means you no longer, so first of all, you create and you go into guilt and shame on your own because you internalize and make meanings out of what other people say. So, oh, I guess I'm not good enough, or I guess I'm wrong for doing that or saying that. You're never wrong, you're always right. You're never wrong. How can you be wrong? It doesn't make sense. If it came up for you naturally, if something you said came up for you naturally, how can you be wrong? It doesn't make any sense. This is gaslighting. You don't cause anyone to feel anything. You don't cause anyone to feel anything. You can trigger emotions inside of people, but nobody can make you feel anything. So that's not, if you're saying things that trigger someone to feel shameful, first of all, you probably do that to yourself. So stop doing that to yourself. And then you'll stop doing it to others. Yeah. Yep. Look, first of all, recognize that shame and guilt, most people struggle with this. This is very common. And you'll see it on TV. A lot of TV is just dysfunctional families because it makes for good TV. Dysfunctional relationships, dysfunctional families. TV is mostly people who don't feel good about themselves. Why? Because the media needs to relate to the masses. But this doesn't mean that you have to suffer like your next door neighbor or like your friend or like your colleague at work or your boss. You do not need to suffer with the rest of the community. And that's the whole point of guilt and shame, is to make you feel like you're wrong for who you are. And then you're left fighting this battle between you and yourself. Oh, fine, you're just going to go off and destroy the relationship then? You're going to go live your life. You're going to leave me here. First of all, you don't have that kind of power over people. Start to recognize you don't have this amount of power to ruin anyone's life, to ruin anything. People ruin their own lives. So where does guilt and shame come from? It comes from other people. You're taught to feel guilty. You're taught to feel shame. Here's the installation of shame. As a child, right? You probably heard something like this. What's wrong with you? Why did you do that? What's wrong with you? Maybe your parents said, what is wrong with you? And now you're thinking, what is wrong with me? Boom, right there. Shame's been installed right in that second. Or the installation of guilt as a child is going to be, go to your room, think about what you've done. What does that do? Triggers a child to feel guilty. Think about what you've done is the installation of guilt. So your parents probably did something like this as a child. And then anxiety, the installation of anxiety, even though you're born with this, this gets triggered in children by parents, is go to your room and think about what you're going to do differently. That's them. That's whoever is saying that, triggering anxiety in you. This is never okay. Here's how you can free yourself from this. Here's how to stop feeling this way. Is start to recognize you don't need to feel this way in order to make things better. You don't need to feel this way in order to be productive, in order to heal things. In fact, guilt and shame is very unhealing. Start to recognize guilt and shame is never appropriate. And just throw them out. Just get them out of your lives. Just throw it out the window. And I can already hear a lot of people telling me or asking, well, Lydia, if I don't feel guilty, then I'm not going to change. If I don't feel shame of myself, I'm not going to be motivated to change. And I'm here to tell you, if you need guilt and shame to motivate yourself, then you've accepted emotional abuse. You've put yourself in a position to accept emotional abuse from yourself and others. Because I'm here to tell you, you will go so much farther if you stop operating from guilt and shame. And if you're doing things that make you feel shame, I would investigate that. which means don't sit there and beat yourself up. Don't do the activity of shaming yourself. There's 2 steps here. You feel shame and then you shame yourself. And then you feel guilt and then you guilt yourself. Okay, feel the guilt, feel the shame, and don't do the activity of shaming or guilting yourself. Just recognize the feeling is there. And what's the message in this feeling? If you feel ashamed, how did you break your rule? If you feel like shame, what rule of your own did you break? That's the question here. Yeah, do you know how to do that, Lillian? Replace guilt and shame with self-compassion. It sounds easy, right? Like just do it. Just replace them. And what's going to happen is you're all going to get paralyzed because you don't know how to do that, right? It sounds nice to just replace them. Just replace them. But if I tell you to go do that now in the next 10 minutes, nothing's going to happen, right? Because you don't know how. So here's how you can start to recover from this. The first step is to recognize you no longer need to guilt yourself or shame yourself. Recognize that right now. That these things do not serve you. Ever. They just make you feel like shit. Right? Do you ever feel good when someone else or you are making yourself guilt or shame? No. Does it motivate you in a positive way? No. It's not useful. Stop with the guilt. Stop with the shame. Start. Instead of sitting there telling yourself how horrible you are, or what's wrong with me, it's time to learn the language of love and kindness. This is what's missing here. You have not, because you've been taught shame and guilt, you have not been taught self-compassion and the language of love. Right? How many of you is this resonating with you? Like this video. What about this is resonating with you? Like this video, let me know that this is hitting home for you. Comment below, what is hitting home for you? Because this is real shit here, guys. I'm not here. I care too much about you guys to lie to you. I care too much about the people I interact with to tell you what you want to hear. I will never tell you what you want to hear. I will always tell you what you need to hear so that you can free yourself and live a life full of potential, full of love and kindness and support to the fullest. So if you don't like this, if you're offended by this in any way, then there's the door. Because these videos is for those of you who are wanting to move forward, but maybe just don't know how, but you're spinning your wheels. You don't know what to do. You're doing stuff, but you just don't know what to do. And that's a great place to be because you're confused. And in order to learn anything, you have to be confused, right? So start to recognize here how to move out of guilt and shame. Stop guilting and shaming yourself, which means stop speaking to yourself in a way that makes you feel guilty or shame. Eliminate that language. What are the words you tell yourself? Post below. What do you tell yourself to make yourself feel guilty or shameful? Because there's words there. There's words there. What are the words? Get familiar with the words. What do you tell yourself that trigger guilt and shame? And here's the beautiful part. When you start to recognize the words you tell yourself that make you feel guilt or shame, then you'll start to recognize when others do this to you and to themselves. You'll start to recognize the language of guilt and shame. What's wrong with you? Why did you do that? How, go ahead and mess everything up. Ruin my life. Make, destroy the relationship. Go ahead and just do all that. Or if you don't do this, then you're a horrible person. You know what? Nobody knows who you are. You guys, get this, drill this into your mind. Nobody knows who you are but you. Nobody knows your thoughts. Nobody knows what you're feeling. Nobody can tell you this. So stop allowing people to tell you who you are. This is such a big core component. Stop allowing others to tell you what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and who you are. Because nobody knows who you are but yourself. Nobody will ever know you more than yourself. It just won't ever happen. Nobody else can validate you. Nobody else can validate you. Nobody can validate what's going on the inside. Inside of you, nobody can see what's going on inside of your head or your body. So we'll talk about validation another time. But here's the key here. Guilt and shame is a habit. This is what it all comes down to. Guilt and shame is a habit. You have a habit of making yourself guilty or shame through how you talk to yourself. This is where it comes from. Stop talking to yourself and making yourself feel guilty or shame. Start to recognize when you do that, which means get in touch with your body, get in touch with your feelings. And when you notice yourself going into a shame attack, is what I like to call them, a shame attack or a guilt attack, pull yourself out of it and replace that with the language of love. And if you don't know what that is, then tune in Friday. So Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is going to be, I have Ask Me Anything Fridays. And it's just going to be straight questions that I'm going to be taking from you all. This coming Friday, we start every Friday from here on out, is going to be Ask Me Anything Fridays. If you're already getting emails from me, you'll get this email as well. And this is going to be different than what we do here. Here, I'm just sharing concepts, I'm sharing ideas, and you can comment. If you want to get your personal questions answered, if you want more in depth and you want more to get clear on your own truth, all of Ask Me Anything Fridays at 3 p.m. is just going to be straight getting clear on truth, on what questions you have. If you're just looking for answers, that's what we're going to be doing. It's going to be different than what we're doing here. Like I said, I'm not going to be talking at you on Friday. It's just going to be an opportunity for you to ask questions. So tune in on Friday. We're going to talk more about all of these things that you need help with here. No one is here for others' judgments. First of all, recognize judging is something we all naturally do, but recognize it also doesn't help you. Judging doesn't make you feel better. It doesn't make you a better person. Just throw that out too. Just stop doing that. And you can do that by just bringing your awareness to it. Again, I'll make a video about eliminating judgment and how to stop judging yourself and others. But this is really the key here. Recognize the games you play with yourself, the guilt and shame games you play with yourself. Okay, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name, Sakib. Did I say that right? Private message me your email and I will make sure that you're in my database and you'll get everything. So just private message me, you should be able to, and send me your email and I'll add you in. So as we wrap up here, here's what I want you to take away. You don't need guilt and shame for survival. Throw out the habit. The habit is you say things to yourself inside your mind or outside, out loud. What's wrong with me? Why can't I do this right? I'm not good enough. Stop doing that, which means you need to start catching yourself doing that. And if you need help with that, check out my mindfulness videos. The mindfulness video on my YouTube channel is going to talk about how you can tap into your internal dialogue and catch yourself when you're doing this. Go check that out. That's a precursor to this work. If you need help connecting to your body and to your inner dialogue, check that out. And then when you catch yourself doing this, stop. Replace that with the language of love. If you need more guidance with this, if you need help, any guidance with anything, join me on Friday. We're going to do Ask Me Anything. You're going to ask me anything you want about anxiety, about depression, about anxiety-driven depression, about confidence building, about being relaxed, about getting, increasing your self-worth, wherever you're stuck, let's get you unstuck. So tune in on Friday. You'll get that to your inbox. And this is really it. This is really the key on eliminating guilt and shame, because when you stop doing this to yourself, you're going to be able to do two things. You're going to be able to recognize when you're doing this to yourself, which means you're going to be able to recognize when others are doing this to you. And when you can see through your own bullshit and games, you'll be able to see through other people's bullshit and games as well. And the games they play with you. Guilt and shame serves no purpose other than to control you. It's just there so that people can get you to do what they want you to do for them at the cost of yourself, at the cost of your own feeling good about yourself. Feeling guilty costs you feeling good about yourself, right? Feeling shame costs you your energy and feeling good about who you are. And so people have no problem doing this if it's serving them. And it costs you your dignity and self-respect. Stop losing your self-respect for people. Stop doing that. Stop losing your dignity. Stop throwing your self-respect to the floor. And stand in your ground. And do not tolerate this behavior anymore. Do not tolerate guilt tripping and shame or blaming anymore. Do not tolerate them. Which means you walk away, which means you end the conversation, which means you mirror back that this is not okay. Okay? That's how you stop it with other people. But the first step here is you got to stop it with yourself. You got to stop treating yourself like this. And again, if you need more help catching yourself, guilt tripping yourself or shaming yourself, check out my mindfulness video on how to practice proper mindfulness on my YouTube channel. Everything plus this video is going to go up there. That's going to help you tap into your internal dialogue and catch yourself, be in touch with how you talk to yourself. Then you'll be able to catch these blaming and shaming and guilt tripping games with yourself. You're going to be able to shut them off the minute they start. It's literally, you can dissolve away this habit. I've done it. I don't live in shame at all anymore. I don't live in, these things are not even part of my life. They serve no purpose. Remember, they serve no purpose at all. Guilt and shame serve no purpose in your life. None. So stop doing this to yourself. Stop speaking like this to others. And then replace that with the language of kindness and love and patience, empathy, self-compassion. And if you need more help with this, join me on Ask Me Anything Fridays. I also have an event coming up on the 15th you have 3 speakers, including me, to teach you how to do this. And you should already be getting that to your inbox. So sign up for that. Join me on Friday for Ask Me Anything Fridays. We're just going to shoot right into questions. Again, it's not going to be me talking at you. It's going to be me having a conversation with you. So don't miss this opportunity to get clear, right? This is free coaching. So join me on Friday. I can't wait to see you guys there. I can't wait to see everybody there. I love interacting with you all. And if you're ready to really take your life back, it's time to take that next step and to get clear on what you need, what answers you need, so you can finally break through whatever barriers, whatever blind spots that you have. It's hard to see our own blind spots. So I will see you all on Friday. Check out the rest of these YouTube videos. They're all, they're all interlinked. They all kind of link to each other as far as helping you eliminate anxiety from your lives. So we will definitely be talking more about guilt and shame in the future. Like this video if it helped you. Share this video with other people if it's helped you. Again, we're just getting to truth here. We're committed to truth here. So I will see you all on Friday. I'm so excited. Let's get 2022 off to an incredible start. Let's get our health back. Let's get our relationships back. Let's get love back in our lives. And let's straighten out our finances. Let's go after everything that we want in 2022. There's nothing stopping you but yourself. Yep, I'll see you guys Friday. And I'm excited. So tune in, sign up, stay tuned, and I will talk to you guys then.